Hello. Hello, I am here. I had a little tape. I always put tape on people. Look at that. It's always something on my shirt. I feel like I want to go get a sponge or something. But do something because that's going to distract me. So it's a big old smudge. All right. Okie dokie. All right, I just grabbed the towel. Just grab the towel to put on it. Hello, people. So I actually was signing on and doing all my stuff at 4:00. So by the time I actually got on here, I guess it was 4:02. So that's just my bad. On time, usually on time, so I won't beat myself up about it. Glad to be here today. Today starts Javon's and Chris, the Clarks, and the Bubbles and the Bears. 21 days of the total man, total woman. If you are not in on it, be in on it. If you're wondering what this scarf is, I had a big old smudge. I mean, this towel is I had a big old smudge, so I'm covering it up for now because I will be looking at it, and I ain't got time to go change the shirt while I'm on here. So, good things to talk about. My iPad is over there, so I'm going to keep having to jump off the screen and jump back on, but that's all good. Sign on to Turner's Church because I had have to look over. I had rebooted my computer. You need to be, making sure the viruses and the invaders are not getting all in your stuff all the time. So making sure you update your computer and, do whatever the overlords say technically, so they still all up in your business. But it's good to kind of clean off your histories and all that other stuff. I don't have no stuff, like porn or nothing that everybody else has to do. Funny thing with porn, and once you kind of start doing psychology, everything becomes like a science project, when you're looking at it and you're kind of like, why? And what's the thought process behind that? So that is definitely something that happens. At least that has been my experience. I have watched porn. Both of them definitely know the before and after, you get into the psychology field for porn. Then you're watching porn and you just like, but I will say men and their secrets, boy, men and their secrets. And women in their denial, I guess is fair to say. Because if men got the secrets, women got the denial. And can it be reversed? Women have secrets and men have desires? A little bit, not as much. But if you definitely want to see what people, it's not even fetishes, what people's sexual secrets are. And as they say, you're only as sick as your secrets. Yeah, all of that. So I am putting up my usual. We are now live. Join us. And I don't put the information anymore there. If you just want to, you can look in the description of the event. It's day 17 of our 21-day daily meet. It's right up there on the left-hand side of Turner's Church screen. I ain't putting it nowhere else because I'm talking to my black people. So, and you will be able to find all the descriptions. The links are there. If you're having some problems with the links, friend me, and then I will make sure that I can see you in the little chat box down below. I don't know if anybody's sending me any kind of messages right now. I'm looking at my updates just to make sure. Okay. Yeah, all right. It's just leaving me a message from some of the friends I have made on Turner's Church, which I absolutely love making the friends on Turner's Church. So that is all a good thing. All right. But yes, the friends I made, and hopefully we'll get to meet them face to face. I know they're gonna try to have something at some point down in Durham, and I will be there. Over there on the West Coast, on the East Coast, seeing my family and friends anyway, but definitely some newfound friends and fams through the Turner's Church family as things continue to progress. I intend to be a part of it as long as it's good. If things go bad, like everybody else, you probably be ghosts. This ain't gonna be no Eddie Long thing. I don't know if I ain't saying that that's what's happening, that kind of stuff. But you know how people stick around and just be in denial. I'm just kind of not. That's not my personality. So, today's what Javon covered today, and I was about to pick my nose, and I can't do that on camera. Talking about what Javon talked about today. I gotta grab my iPad, but that was over here charging. Having some issues with my charger, but it'll be all right. I did not do my run yet. It was actually raining. Had a crazy little weather out here in Las Vegas, but I am going to bike ride anyway. So, but I'm gonna bike ride a trail, so that'll be about 5 miles, and run a little bit of it and see how my ankles, feet feel. And just gradually progress. That's what we're all about, right? That's what we're all doing. Okay, so we had the Bubbles and the Bears. Today was the Jedi training. I think he called it the Jedi training school. And day one. And he cussed everybody out, fussed at everybody, said, get the hell out if you're not going to be serious and if you're not going to take it serious. You know, did the usual Javon thing, passionate and crazy at the same time. You just kind of get used to it, unless you don't. You don't have to. You just kind of, you know, go with it in terms of, you know, how much you want to get out of what you feel like he's giving. And that's kind of where I've been, because I've definitely had some ups and downs. But he is on to something that I like. And in general, I think with Turner's Church, between Turner's Church and the Clarks, I think they are onto something. And definitely what got me involved in this, without a shadow of doubt, is the law of attraction, the law of vibration. Something I've been doing, something I wanted to do with Black people especially, and then, you know, finding them and being able to do it with them, and with Black people, and they already have this forum provided. You can't knock that. You can't, you know, it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So all of those types of things. So this morning he prepped some food for us. Let me see what I wrote so that I make sure I get everything, because I wrote stuff down. This is my iPad, but not in my journal. I didn't write it. I just wrote it on one of my notepads. Yeah, so today he prepped some food and he talked about kind of the 5 things to do today. I don't know if he's just going to be given a daily thing or if this is kind of a reminder, because it's still the same list that he gave in general, kind of that top 10 list about, the 10 things about meditating. And then today, again, he said, number 1 was meditate. Number 2 is come to class. Number 3 is do something physical. I put exercise and do something physical. For the most part, exercise, do some sort of exercise. I already did a little bit, did my squats and my deadlifts, very lightweight stuff, and some planks today. If you're not doing planks, you should definitely do planks. That is definitely a quick fix, whole body. It annoys you, but if you can start doing 10 seconds and move up to 20 seconds and 30 seconds and a minute and 2 minutes and all of those types of things, planks are definitely the way to go. And it's so funny how exercise evolves, and, you know, some things stay and then some things go. You know, I know a lot of women tend to like the cardio and the aerobics and stuff like that. My sister was much more cardio and aerobics, and I was always much more resistance and weight training and things like that when we started, or when I got her a little bit more engaged in working out and things like that. And cardio is whenever I stopped doing the weights to do the cardio, I was good. So that was kind of good, I guess, for me, that the balancing it out. But also in terms of building building muscles actually has a lot to do with increasing your oxygen. People forget that, you know, and muscles and fat are 2 different things and all of those types of things. I will probably share some of that, but I'm just gonna right now stay in this lane and let Javon do what he is doing and just kind of ride that momentum as well, and just offer my 2 cents. But definitely eat right. He did the plan, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And he talked about write something down. I put journal, thoughts, ideas, because it can be a couple of things. As a matter of fact, a really good idea came to me while I was kind of in my meditation. I listened to what he suggested, which was the well-being meditation. I put it if you're looking for it, if you haven't seen it already, I actually put a link. You can just look under my name, Veronica TB on Turner's Church. I was giving it to somebody else on there, and you can find it through there in terms of the link if you don't already have it, what the link is, and just share it with everybody and continue to share it so people will get it. But yeah, it was just a meditation thing, and I just kind of let it play more than once. I downloaded it, and you'd be like, how can you download it? Let these kids teach you on on YouTube how to download it, because now I have it in my, it's a video on YouTube, but I don't have it as a video. I have it as, and I will play it so you can see that.
The appreciation that Source feels for you.
And if you don't know what that is on Android, that is my playlist. Like, I'm playing music. So I actually was able to download it as an MP3. Look that up. So the kids somebody on YouTube will teach you how to do that. And that way you can just have it in your phone, because it's all listening anyway. It's just, the steady picture. So if you want to learn how to convert those things, you can do that. I've been doing that with a whole lot of different things. That's the first time I kind of showed that I do that, but I do it on a lot of different things, learning how to convert YouTube things so that you can have them on your mobile thing without going necessarily through YouTube the way they want you to do it. You can control it the way you want to control it in terms of how you download it, if you want to do that, or you can do it through YouTube if there's some sort of way to do it. I just wanted to learn the other way if it wasn't accessible by YouTube. Plus, with the iPad, they have too much control. Apple or whatever, iPad, iPod, iPhone, all of their stuff, they like to continue to maintain the control over it. That's why, everybody's be hacking their stuff. But when they do the updates, as of late, as I said, for the stuff that I need, I haven't had to hack it. Because for the most part, the things that I use it for is fine the way that it is. So, just something to kind of keep in mind if you need to keep that in mind, actually. All right. So, yeah. So going back to the eating right. So today, Javon made salads and wraps. He kind of showed us with all of the ingredients that we were supposed to get. If you don't have the ingredients, I have them on here somewhere, but I didn't put all of that up. But anyway, it was just kind of stuff like pickles, olives, romaine lettuce, get some spinach wraps, get some hummus, get some peppers, get some onions, get some mushrooms. Oh, look at that. I remember everything. Get some berries. He had berries. I can actually see it all in my head. He had blueberries and strawberries. They took their detox. If you haven't gotten the detox, I have not yet, but I'm thinking that I may just go ahead and, you look at it budget wise right now. I think I just might go ahead and buy it because I don't even know when they'll ship it out. So go ahead and buy it, whatever their 2-week supply is online, and go from there. And, do the detox as well. I've been wanting to do it anyway, so no better time to start than now, especially, with not eating any more meat as of now, as of today, as of right now. So, but it's cool. But yeah, so he made the wraps today. He made Chris's. He actually, if he's just starting out, he put cheese on hers and salt, sea salt and things like that. If you still want to do that, I have some cheese left over in there, and I probably won't be throwing it away. I'll probably put it in an omelet and maybe put some mushrooms in there with that. So that'll be what I'm doing, but I may not put that in the wrap. We'll see, but I do have the wrap in there and the hummus, and make the cook the beans, which I was wanting to see what he did first and then see how I would be modifying it. But definitely having the superfoods, the avocados, I definitely put some of that in there, peppers and onions. I'm also somebody, like he said, Chris likes hers really finely chopped with the mushrooms, the onions and peppers. For me, I like those really finely chopped. So I'm going to do all of that. So that's what his wrap kind of entailed. Hummus, it was the wrap, hummus, onions, peppers, romaine lettuce. He put some olives on his, mushrooms for both of them, Chris had cheese on hers, sea salt on both of theirs. I think it was some crushed peppers on both of theirs as well. So that was the wraps. And then when he did the salad, he just did just a bunch of everything on that. But it was tomatoes at the bottom, something he said about them not getting soggies, then putting spinach and kale in the center, and then just kind of putting your things over it, mushrooms, strawberries and blueberries, peppers if you wanted it, and onions on the salad and things like that. And just, suggesting that if you kind of just follow this and work with them, especially this week, you'll probably lose a lot of the cravings that you have. I also have a little bit of a sweet tooth, junk food. It's kind of sugar and salt for me. Sweet and, what is it? Sweet and sour or sweet and salty? Yeah, sweet and salty is more or less, where I like to have, my little popcorn snacks and my Raisinets. Those are my primary snacks and things like that. And so, just trying to get rid of the last of that, kick it to the curb. So, yeah, that was it pretty much for today. He fussed a little, he fussed a lot, he cussed a lot. We had invasion of the Nazi races today on Facebook. I guess because he put in Jedi, so they really all came out in droves. Maybe it was the Jedi putting the Star Wars out, so they came from the bottom, from the pits of hell in their mother's basements at the same time, same place. So, and we're just on there saying all kinds of stuff, about Hitler, should have did the Negroes first and all that other stuff. So hopefully for the most part, they got blocked, and they will get some moderators on there. There's regular students who've been coming all the time who also will they will give the power to block people when they come into the room as well, just not personally blocking other friends or people they assume are, meaning to be blocked. That's always the worry when you kind of give people that permission to do that, where they make it about them and things. So hopefully we don't have that going on in any capacity as well. So that was about it in terms of the Bubbles and the Bears for today. Just kind of getting us motivated to get our best selves going, and it's really cool. I'm really down with it, and everybody supporting everybody, and it's no big thing. It ultimately is going to be you being accountable to you, but you at least have a kind of a family, a blue dot connected, a squad, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to do. You feel what they doing, those types of things. They there. So, there's some people that are there to, hold you accountable. You see what they doing, you see what you doing, and go on about the rest of your day. It's true if you get things done early. And I'm going to talk about some of that. That's one of my topics today. After I talk about my titles, foreplay, anal sex, the last 3 days, all the days I missed. And people want, if they already haven't heard what I said about that, I'm going to talk about that next. But yeah, just get on board with the Bubbles and the Bears with Javon, master teacher Javon, teaching the Bubbles and the Bears. And we're on the 21 days of the Total Man, Total Woman. And today was the Jedi training school. So that's where we are today, and starting day 1 of our 21 days. So it should be fun going forward. And I think, let me make sure I got everything. And turnerschurch.com. That's why you're here. And maybe people will watch it later. If you're Black, get on board. There ain't no shame in saying that. Go ahead and try to file your EEOC, because your white men are about to drop all of that anyway. There ain't going to be no EEOC. So we already know we got to get creative. So do what you have to do. But this is for Black people. I'm talking to Black people. I ain't talking to white people. I don't go on white people turf and try to talk to them. I know people want to, people getting on panels, and thank goodness for people like Angela Rye and Charles Blow and any of these people who go up there and put up with them white people on TV. Do you, bro? I support you. I ain't trying to do all of that. You ain't got to go up in their house, keep going up in their house and trying to explain stuff to them. It's their house. That's the whole point. And they want to keep it as their house. And they have demonstrated repeatedly that they want to keep their house with them in it and not you in it, from the White House on down. So I ain't got no time to talk to white people. I'm just done with it. Had to deal with them right all your whole life, because they teach in our schools. We don't teach their kids, but they teach our kids. That right there is just, well, so anyway. We need to recognize all of those types of things and the problems with those things as we start to regain and reclaim our minds, because that's all part of the conditioning, the brainwashing, and the programming that they do. And we have kind of been saturated in it for so long that we don't see the problems. As a matter of fact, when we say the things, we'd be like, what's wrong with that? We want to question it and things like that. So, all right. So on to number two thing. The number two thing is my titles. So today's title was foreplay, day 17, foreplay sex. I think yesterday was day 16, anal sex. And I know I had one day this was real popular, people just clicking on it because it said kiss the pussy. It was the pussy was not spelled out. I mean, it wasn't spelled out and stuff like that. But I started doing that basically from Javon's 21 days of sex, or 21 days of horny, with his crazy titles. And I just kept it going, because go ahead and report me. The reason you clicked on it is if you're not in the Turner's Church is because you're being nosy, right? Sex will make you click on stuff. So it's not necessarily about being clickbait, because I can talk about those types of things from a psychology perspective, and give some things. And, it's really just simple. When you're doing things, sexually, you want to just have the most pleasurable experiences. So I will say that I am an advocate of pleasurable, healthy sex. As I always keep saying, I'm not, and when we talk about the nonsense of abortion, which is not even about Black people, even though we got tricked into talking about this whole Margaret Sanger garbage, and the hoteps and the conscious community just fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Dummies. Well, let me not say that, because everybody is playing their position. So maybe I have to roll that back a little bit and just say, it's all part of a trick, though, in the broader scheme of things and stuff like that. And I know they'll be like, well, parenthood is part of a trick. Okay. I'll talk about that one day. Like I said, some of the heavy subjects, I'm just keep skipping over and letting people, do them. Everybody just talk amongst themselves, and I'll just come in and say my piece at some point. But right now, I don't even really care that deep. It's not that deep for me. So, but yes, sex is a healthy, pleasurable thing. And I was going to say, when I said the whole abortion nonsense stuff, I was just going to say, I'm not pro-choice. I'm not pro-life. I am pro-responsible behavior. I am pro-sex education. I am pro-health education. I am pro-life living, our experiences and enjoying healthy sex based on communication and mental health. That's where it should start anyway. Your foreplay should start when you are horizontal before you get vertical. I have a lot of little gems like that. So, yeah. So you just want to be able to kind of make informed decisions. So foreplay sex should be all of this. If you suddenly find me sexy, and I understand why. All of these types of things, this is what it's leading up from here, because you are attracted to the person, you're attracted to their mind, you're attracted to what they are saying out of their mouths, all of the things that are going to make the connection better and better and better when you actually get to the physical sex, which, depending on your stamina and endurance levels, last minutes to hours. People be like, hours? You mean an hour? So anyway, just all of those types of things to just kind of take into consideration. So yeah, foreplay sex is just a gradual process. All of the things I've been saying, it's kind of the title, but it's not clickbait totally. I can't talk about any of those things. So if you want to say, well, will you talk more on something that I put down and with regard to the sex stuff, I'll talk on it. It probably won't maybe be to your satisfaction, but I'm going to talk on it the way I'm going to talk on it. So that is what you will hear about it. But originally it came from, the reason I even started with these titles is it came from Javon's 21 Days of Horny, when he had the crazy titles, and I just kept them going. And by the way, we are on day 17. So we have 4 more days left. This has been a really cool journey. So I think that's Friday or Saturday will be the last day of this. And then I will be having weekly talks, weekly meet and chats. I think I'll just keep this up. As part of Turner's Church, I also have the mental health group, so I'll have something on that here on a daily not a daily basis, but certainly once or twice a week, something about her mental health, and maybe try to set up a chat depending on how comfortable people were with that, because it's going to be specifically mental health, just trying to figure out how to do it, policing the limitations of what you're able to do online and how comfortable people are in terms of what they want to talk about. That's why I ask people to send in confidential questions, and you can do that. You can send me confidential questions. You can message me, I think, via here, or even leave your questions and comments here. Until I start getting crazy trolls and things like that, I will try to answer questions with regards to anything with regard to mental health. I have experience in it, professional experience in it, and sometimes just instinctively able to answer some questions based on just wisdom and perspective and perception, making perspective. So those types of things. So hopefully that will be helpful to someone as well. So some of the things, something I wanted to talk about today, and I am making good time, is, and I wrote it down. When we were doing the today, when we were doing this morning, working with Javon with the 21 days Total Man, Total Woman, it just kind of brought back to me some things that I've, kind of adopted for my life anyway and wanted to share. And that is that you need to get up and get out of the bed and get out of the house every day. Now, we have gotten into the white supremacy way of doing our entire lives, and that's absolutely wrong, counterproductive, counterintuitive for Black people. But it's not going to be an overnight process of you getting out of that. But it should be on your goals list. It has never been on your goals list. Now it needs to be on your goals list. Get out of doing any and everything that the white man has in some way conditioned, brainwashed, or programmed you to do things, thinking that you have to do it their way. I don't even, and this is just my opinion, men will certainly have much more of an opinion of this. This is literally me, a woman, a Black woman, giving her opinion of what I think in terms of a Black man for this specific thing. And I'm about to say, I don't think Black men should wear suits. I think they look gorgeous in clothes, period. Whether they're wearing a suit, whether they're wearing workout clothes, whether they're wearing casual clothes, nobody wears clothes better than Black men. Hands down, absolutely, positively, always the case. From the way their bodies are shaped, their ass, everything, just wonderful. I love the Black body in general, and I love the way Black men look in clothes and stuff like that. Yes, everybody can, get in shape, because I'm sure there's some of y'all thinking that, well, not everybody. People got to, get in shape and all those things. Yes, there are things that we need to work on. We've been eating their hormonal poisons, pumping that stuff in our body, and we know all of that stuff. Blah, blah, blah. But what I mean when I say that I don't think Black men should wear suits, I'm not saying that you shouldn't wear a blazer. I'm not saying even that you shouldn't wear jeans with a nice casual shirt and tie, those types of things. I think you should mix and match it. I just don't think that, especially going up there and standing next to a white man in a suit. I just think that Black men need to be them in terms of their fashion. I think they need to look good, smell good, be groomed, all of those types of things. I just, for me, I'm just, even when I just talked about the panels, like a CNN and all those other things, when Don Lemon, as much as I'm not really a fan of his, Charles Blow I like, and stuff like that, and they come up there and they look magnificent in their suits, compared to every white man that come on there. They look the best and just perfectly groomed, all of that kind of stuff. But I'm like, if they had on something casual, they would look good in. And I think that that's kind of, Black men dominate. That's one of the reasons they don't like them as it is. And I think that a lot of times to come on there showing your true self, it's not to say that obviously you shouldn't come on there neat and groomed, as I said, but I think that there's other things that you can wear. I think that there's other things that I just don't think that Black men need to come on there with a suit standing next to white men. Like you trying to be, I'm not saying like you're trying to be white, but like you trying to be like white men, that this is how you have to do business. This is how you have to, all of these types of things. These are the things we have to get away from. I remember years and years ago, and Russell Simmons talks about that in his book, and I'm not a big fan of Russell Simmons either, so I always end up having to feel like I got to give this disclaimer or preface it with that when I say these types of things, because you'd be like, oh, so are you for Russell Simmons? I'm really just an advocate for Black people in general, but I know some Black people are problematic here and there in the things they say and they do, but I just kind of point out what it is I agree with about them. So that being said, Russell Simmons, you know, when he was younger, when he first was starting out, he would come into probably a little too dressed down, where he was just wearing like, you know, t-shirt and jeans and stuff like that. And people would just have a fit. But he was actually on the right track, where he like, look, I'm here to do business. I can prove to you I can do what I need to do, those types of things. I don't need to look like you to be able to do that. So in that sense, you know, and again, we have to kind of get past the condition. And now, mind you, we already know we're dealing with the whole sagging thing, which is stupid and, you know, ridiculous. And definitely the Black boys and men, especially the men, should be pulling up their pants. But I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about, you know, just some raggedy t-shirts and stuff like that. I'm just saying casual clothes, Friday casual, what they would call Friday casual. Just, you know how when Black men just try to look nice with even just a regular dress shirt and some khakis, or a dress shirt and some jeans, and it just looked nice and they look better than everybody else. Even some t-shirts and jeans where they just look magnificent. And that's all I'm saying. It's just, brothers, do you. And I don't necessarily think you need to be in those monkey suits, because they are monkey suits for them. So that's what the issue I have with that. So, you know, you don't have to take my advice for it and things like that. I know we big on the fashion and the red carpets and seeing people in unique tuxedos and all of that kind of stuff. And I just look forward to brothers doing things just a little bit differently. And I think you know, not even look forward, I think I've always felt like that. So that's just my 2 cents on that. I have the top 4 men in my life who would definitely look great in clothes and things like that. And one of my nephews is into fashion, so definitely would love to see him do some stylish or some alternative stylish stuff for men. And it certainly is something that I would like to encourage him in and be a part of, just be able to say, brother, you look good. So yes, that's that. All right. So, but I got into also talking about all of this. I'm talking about we need to get up. You do need to get up and get out of the bed and get out of the house every day. And as I said, not necessarily doing it the way that the white man wants you to do it. And I got into my big segue into a whole lot of tangents, actually. And I didn't segue into tangents. It was tangents that was supposed to segue me back into this. So, you know, but I just wanted to kind of say that, you know, in terms of what we're doing about getting up and exercises and just a new way of thinking for us Black people, and getting unified with other Black people who are truly trying to be about this life of living life and loving Black folks and repairing and healing and all that type of stuff. You know, these are some of the things that we need to think about what we're doing for ourselves. You don't need an idle mind or an idle body. And that's just not idle as in American Idol, IDOL, but idle as in IDLE. I'll spell that again, IDLE, idle. Like when, you know, you're just sitting there doing nothing, like your car is idling, those types of things, idle. So you're not doing anything. So idle mind and an idle body. There's an old quote that says an idle mind is the devil's workshop or playground. I'm not sure if it's purely playground or workshop. I'm going to say playground. It's the devil's See, I said, well, so maybe it's workshop. But anyway, it's the devil's workshop and playground, you know, and I think I don't necessarily believe in the devil like that. I believe that, you know, obviously it's the devil's inside of us, and it's the emotion thing. So either good or bad emotions and what we're tending to elevate and give strength to, how evil it can get. That's the devil, the way they put a D in front of it. So evil and then put a D in front of it. So, so we need to kind of take that into account. And I talked about this before about don't work overtime. And, you know, because we have been conditioned, again, the same thing with just the regular job itself, but especially working overtime, that we are trading our time for money. And it's just bondage. That's just the simplistic version of it. And I will probably go into that again at length as well. I'm going to, as this 21 days, because this was supposed to be a chat, so I didn't have things like really written out to have topics set in stone and things like that, but I am going to have kind of a more elaborate topics as I start to have things on this channel and learn about editing and doing all that stuff. Because I've had this channel off and on for probably, like, not off and on, but it's been here probably for 2 years, and for me to just finally start taking it seriously and putting things on here is a good thing. I also have a podcast where I want to do things, those heavy topics. I'm thinking that I'm going to do those heavy topics on there and then kind of do a summary here. So look out for that when I tell you that the podcast is back up, because it's been idle for a while. Hopefully they'll just let me go right back through the process without too much fanfare, because it was a little bit of a process. And now that they've gotten even more popular, who knows what the procedure is. So yeah, but don't work overtime, but never retire. And one of the things about that is that, you know, you need to have some sort of purpose in your life. You need to be doing something and working. And they gave us this, these words and this language and this narrative as part of their systems. And as we can see, first of all, how older people are looked at in general, but what is also a case with us where we start thinking that, okay, when you get a certain age, you're going to slow down, you're going to be old, you're going to, all of these types of things. And you really need to get that mindset out that really, for the most part, you know, for the rest of your life, you're working, but you are your job. If you are your job, then it's not, you know, what did I write? Never retire. Define your life and you as your life's work. That's what I mean. So yeah, so the whole thing about it is that you kind of need to redefine and take back the language and make the language yours in terms of the way that you think about things. And you are your life's works, and you're not retiring from yourself, right? When you finally die, hopefully at peace in your sleep when you're over 100, and after you've lived a wonderful life and you're not all old and bowled over, you just fell asleep one day and just didn't wake up and was finished with this physical form, then that's, you know, when you retired and you didn't have necessarily a word for that as you were living, that you were retired, right? You just got finished with the physical form. And if you don't believe in death, I'm getting to the point where I don't even like to say death anymore. So it's like you're just finished with this physical form. So yes, but don't retire. Don't overwork overtime. That's in regular jobs, you know, because it's bondage and just conditioning. And also, you know, redefine what retirement is. Really get rid of that word retire and define your life and your life work, so that you're just kind of always getting up with a purpose for yourself. All right, so the final thing I wanted to talk about, and I'm doing good with time, is relationships. It should never be about, in my opinion, and this is as a single person, and everybody kind of wants to attack the bitter, angry Black woman, especially. You know, I even see that, unfortunately, with the Bubbles and the Bears and a lot of where Javon goes, and then, you know, kind of breaking you down to build you back up. And it doesn't have to be that way, but I guess you have to be a particular type. If you need what he's selling, then you're going to buy it. And I don't necessarily subscribe to a lot of that, and I didn't comment on that almost the entire time. I didn't comment when he would talk about it, all those other things, because I knew that I had a very, 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 very different approach to it. I am not bitter. I am not angry. And I have been happily single for a while. And that is okay. You know, first of all, that is okay. And then, you know, he's one of those ones who says, if you say it's okay, if you say, oh, it's okay, you're not getting no sex, if you say it's okay, you single, then you fucking lying. Come on. That's not true for everybody. And the reason I have to kind of say that is because this is, you know, it is another form of mind fucking. And it comes a lot of times from people who, particularly men, but in general, it can come from anybody who gets in the point of saying that because that's not true for them. You can be happily single. Sometimes it's choice. Sometimes it's circumstance. It may get to a point because, yes, you have learned enough lessons where you are just like, I'm good. A lot of people get to that point now. We saying I'm good for all kinds of different situations that I'm like, we're in our lives. And we just like, look, I'm open, is what I like to say, is I'm open and I'm receptive. But in general, I'm good. I'm not sitting around looking. I'm not going chasing. I'm not doing any of those types of things. You know, the people like, well, do you miss sex? When I have sex, I'm gonna have sex. You know, if I'm not having sex, it's not conditioned in me, or at least I have understood that it doesn't need to be conditioned in me, that any of those things are at the forefront of what my needs are. And you have to get to that point too. What is at the forefront of what your needs are? What is it that you need? What is it that you want? How do you define you? You, Veronica. How does Veronica define Veronica? How do you define you? And those types of things. So yeah, most of the time, I just didn't agree. And I said that in so many ways with what he was saying, and but he's a married man and he has his wife and they have their relationship, and and he's talking from his experiences, and he's he's who he is. And so I just kind of wanted to make sure that I said that it never has to be about finding the one. And the reason for that is like finding the person, and it's not about, and I remember hearing this, and it's funny because I heard this from a bunch of church women, and that, they are almost worse than Javon with all this. I'm waiting for Jesus to send me my what is that guy who was with Ruth? Boaz. Oh, I can't stand that. Oh, that makes me so mad. I think it makes me look at that. I'm more mad about that than I am about Javon. I get more emotional about that Boaz bullshit. Oh my God, these beautiful women and sitting around talking this nonsense, and and they're older ladies a lot of time, and you just ridiculous, utter stupidity that's just coming out of their mouths, but they have bought into the story that they told themselves, because it's not necessarily, you can blame it on the church to a certain extent, but you have to be the one that's going to eat what they're giving you. Whatever they put in front of you, like I said, buying what they selling, eat what they put before you, it's on you. That is the choice that you make, and they made that choice. I remember I got blocked. I got blocked online, and that's the whole thing, telling these women sometimes when they talking all this nonsense and you put them on blast for stuff. And I said something to that effect, like going to the plantation on Sunday and stuff, and she blocked me. And I liked her. I was listening to, I can't even, Lexi, I think her name was, the lady, the gospel lady, because she would have a funny in the car things, but she blocked me because I said something about, because she always says, get up and go to church on Sunday. And I said something about, yeah, get up and go to the plantation. So what you gonna do? But hey, it is like utterly ridiculous. And this is one of the things. Does it make sense to you when you say it out of your mouth? When you hear it aloud, when you say these things? It sounds crazy, and it's just such conditioning that you got from an oppressor and have kept with you for hundreds of years. That is gangster. Play on player whiteness, because they got y'all like, whoa, for centuries now, repeating their things under a white Jesus, under your oppressor, and they are up in arms if you put up any picture that's not a white Jesus. It is just amazing. I honestly say it's like a best science psychology project that I don't want to do ever, but it is really amazing to behold. Bravo, white people, on that one, because y'all got that gangster. And definitely when y'all voted this year, I voted for Donald Trump, 81%, and the black people still in the church. Ooh, that was just a work of art. I'm impressed, and it's not too often I'm gonna say that about white people, but they got y'all like good. And don't worry, I can say that some of my families and people I love the most in the world is down with that too, but whew, that one was good. But anyway, as I was saying, a lot of times, so as I'm trying to fill the space inside of you with a person, and it shouldn't be a person filled life. It should be a purpose filled life, and that's the thing in terms of it's so much more of you. And yes, you want to be this whole person, eventually maybe finding this other whole person. But again, because of the way the world is, because of how chaotic and broken and hurt and messed up people are in their minds, their bodies, their spirits and stuff like that, you may have to prepare to be by yourself if you're not going to put up with a whole lot of nonsense. Now, Javon's argument a lot of times is that, women won't even give, like a lot of men, women won't give certain women won't give certain men a chance, and women's argument back, of course, is the same thing. Men won't give certain women a chance and all those types of things. I remember the comedian making a joke when he was saying that he saw big girls big dark skinned girls at the NBA, you know, whatever, these like these Super Bowl things and these, you know, these parties they have before the Super Bowls and the finals and all of that kind of stuff. And he was like, I give them girls credit, boy. They was there like they had a shot. You know, in other words, his joke was that they ain't got no shot at these types of guys. And that is, you know, and that is definitely more of the reality for women of a certain look, based on men of a certain look. Men can look like anything and stuff like that. Kevin Hart looks good now, but Kevin Hart was a funny looking little short dude when he started out. So, and the woman who was riding and dying with him, ride and die when he was nothing, and he's not with her anymore. So, you know, and we can go into all of this. Oh, why is it unfair? Blah, blah, blah. That's why I don't even like to get into all of that, because, you know, there's no easy answers for every single thing. We're not going to necessarily have an easy answers, but you know what is an easy answer? The easy answers that Veronica makes for Veronica, talking in the third person today. But yeah, that's the whole thing. What I can control with me. And that's what I'm dealing with. That's what I'm on, all of those kind of things. Me being comfortable with me being able to be here on camera, no makeup, in my natural hair, and it's growing back. And then look, even as I'm sitting here going, what's up with my edge right there, and all of that all the kind of stuff that you gotta go through as you just loving yourself and still have to deal with getting rid of and pulling out all of the nonsense that's been planted in your head and has taken root, and you trying to pull it up by the roots and all of those types of things. So yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say. And one of the things I just said, I wrote, aren't you happiest when you're chilling and maybe, just maybe, it finds you? And that's the thing. A lot of times the relationship that does find you, all of the relationships that I've been in have kind of happened when I wasn't looking for them. And they've been great relationships, though, or they've been, you know, they were good for whatever they were at the time. So, you know, and again, as I said, you can be open and receptive, but it's just not at the forefront. It's not your number one thing. And you can, and you do take dating advice from anywhere. Oh yeah, because, and I said that also thinking about the church, because I know how to, sometime when I was in the church, and they would almost always every couple of Sundays, not even couple, you know, because they have Wednesday night, depending on how many times you go into church, they'd be like, oh, women watch your husbands, wives watch your husbands around these single women, these single women, just recycling a whole bunch of ignorance and misguided information and misinformation and bad behavior and bad advice and lack of information and gullibility and unintelligence and recycling the bullshit. This is all the stuff that they recycle, and they just keep repeating over and over again. This stupidity nonsense, like everybody's, you know, thinking about this stuff, but a lot of times it's just the same old stuff they've been saying in church. And I've had a pastor's wife was a good friend of mine and things, and that's when I had to tell her that. I was like, y'all need to really stop saying that nonsense, because ain't nobody thinking about it. You don't even want your husband half the time. So, you know, ain't nobody really thinking about your husband. And if somebody got their eye on your husband, yeah, you need to be talking to your husband about all of that stuff. But again, that's to me, even that, when me saying that, it's just old news. It's the stuff that you should know. But I was saying you can take dating advice from anywhere, a Disney movie, fuckery. And, you know, we already know in terms of all this man rescue, you know, come to rescue them, all the fuck shit that white women don't even believe half the time. But just all of that nonsense stuff. Again, the whole very patriarchal, save the woman kind of nonsense, all these types of things, when the world hasn't been like that. If you continue to believe that and live in this world, it's not realistic. Oh, that's the problem too, when you want to keep saying men should be leaders and all of these types of things. Yes, you know, if you get somebody who wants to work with you in that situation, but what if you sitting around waiting for a man? You ain't got no man. You gotta be the leader. You got to be the parent, or both parents, however you want to say it, all those types of things. Yeah, you might need to do a better job in some areas, or some people might need to do a better job. But, you know, let's just be realistic and cut the crap. But you can get it from, you know, another kind of movie, the Disney movies, another single person, you know, but you have to be discerning. You have to be discerning about what you're going to listen to. You have to be discerning if you're going to listen to anybody. You can make up in your mind, draw out 2 or 3 lines of, this is my perspective or my opinion about relationships from now, and this is what I'm going to live with until I decide something else, and blah blah blah. This is what it is. This is what is for me, and that's it. I ain't listening to mom, I ain't listening to friends, I ain't listening to dad, I ain't listening to nobody else but me in terms of what I want to do in my life, and make it up like that. And like I said, also learn. I've already said a lot of this stuff. I just kind of memorized it. But learn to be happily single. Just doing you, just living your life, and that is nothing wrong with that. And nobody needs to kind of get in your head about those types of things. If you feel like you want to listen, I listened to Javon's stuff, and none of it has stuck. I don't remember any of that stuff that he was saying for the most part, except as I bring it up here, because it's just that it didn't apply to me, you know, so it wasn't anything that I necessarily had to listen to. So that's that. And just kind of in general, a lot of the messages that we've gotten from being in this whiteness supremacy. And it has dictated, and I'm looking for all the words that I can, you know, obviously just it has had such an impact, and not positively, on our lives. So in that context, we have to understand that this is kind of the snowball effect of the fuck shit. And it means that, you know, we've been compounding the trash that they've conditioned and brainwashed us with. And we kind of all of that need to reject their narratives, reject their language, reject their systems, all of those types of things that play into our conditioning, our programming, our brainwashing. And just remember, and particularly with regards to television, I know a lot of us in terms of the law of attraction are already realizing to stop watching TV and listening to the radio and listening to a whole lot of things, to just be much more selective with everything that we are allowing to be processed in our brain. If I haven't said it already, I would say it now, and I will be saying it at some other point, I'm sure. Television is not one word. Television is 4 words. Vision programming. And that is what you kind of need to remember when you're watching the fuckery of Real Housewives and scripted reality TV, and just the trash. And literally, as I said before, just this whole mind control. They already have a patent for it in terms of the way everything they're doing. You know, you can look it up in terms of mass communications as well. All of those types of things. So it's a lot, I guess, you know, and just take it with a grain of salt, understanding that we have a lot to kind of undo. You deserve to be informed, but not inundated in terms of information. You should be informed and not inundated. If you want to know little bits and pieces about the news, I literally can click off and click on. The biggest thing I probably want to know now is the Cult 45, and I like that somebody put that up about him, Cult, C-U-L-T, the Cult, which is the clan of them, and 45, the 45th president. Is he out of office? Or something to the effect. Even I don't even really care about that, but it's something like that in the range, whether it be impeachment, death, whatever, that kind of stuff. It's something like that going on. For the most part, if it ain't nothing like that, I click on and click off. I can see that in the immediate headlines, because you know how it goes also with you learning journalism and stuff. If it bleeds, it leads. If you haven't heard that, how they lead with violence, bleeds, you know, that's usually violence, it leads. All of that stuff you learn and about how they manipulate you. But yeah, you are wonderful who you are now. You want to make yourself better, but you have to be in your present moment now, as you are. And you can say if that present moment needs some tweaking, needs some refining. We're all at that stage. I love who I am right now, and there's still some things that I want to fix as I say that. And then people want to say again, well, then that means you don't really love yourself. Yes, it does. Again, first of all, because it's my definition, you can't tell me, right? But also, because that is true. It doesn't necessarily mean that something does not, because we are in a journey. The journey is not over until we are finished with this physical body. So yeah, there needs to be things you're doing just the same way you're getting up and doing things moment by moment to change and to work on. And those are the things that I'm here to change and work on. Like I keep talking about my hair and still being on here, but this is a really wonderful start for me to just be able to be comfortable doing this thing and loving who I am and being on here. And I do love that. That is definitely something that I agree with and appreciate that Javon did, was talk about men appreciating women with, in their natural state and being able to be comfortable being natural and seeing themselves as natural, and also not having men who, are criticizing that, when their mamas and everybody else is actually natural. I have seen, I only saw examples, but I believe it's probably examples of Black women, but I remember a couple of times seeing, I think it was on talk shows or something like that, rarely watch TV, but where some white husbands have said they've never seen their wife without makeup. And that's just what? It's that kind of thing. Like, that's crazy. Don't care about what's going on with the white people, but I just had them as an example because I could only think of, when I think of that, I could only think of them. So that is all I have for today. Got through the topics, and I will be here tomorrow. We got 4 more days of the 21 days of daily chat, meet and greet. And this day is a wrap. Check out Javon, The Bubbles and the Bears, 21 days of the Total Man, Total Woman we are doing on Facebook until we can move that to Turner's Church, which is turnerschurch.com, by Black people, for Black people. So everybody else, if you hear and want, we know how the white folks do, but it's for Black people. So see you tomorrow. Thanks for the support. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I'll subscribe to you if you want me to. I see some people subscribing and then they have their own private thing, but it's on you however you want to do it. I do appreciate the subscriptions because I'm going to have more stuff on here talking to Black people. I'm just letting you know from the very beginning, and my titles are probably going to start saying that in some way, shape, or form, or at least in the description. I'm talking to Black people. So, all right. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.